Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. Today's video is about this CZ452. It's the 452 American, and basically a friend of mine was looking for, he's just got his license and he's looking for 22 rimfire. He also wants a few other rifles as well, but I said I'll keep my eye out, see what I can see. Just happened a few days later, I was in my local shop and I saw this 452 with a moderator, and it was £195. So did what I did, picked up the gun, and I'm going to do a little review on it, because this gun to me just shone because it symbolises everything you need in a 22 rimfire. There's nothing about it that will disappoint you, and there's everything about it that you will enjoy shooting, will inspire you further to shoot more. And quite frankly, I put a scope on it, I went to the farm, did a bit of shooting, checked it out, you know, 40 grain, subsonic, cellular and bellow, hollow point ammunition, shot a few groups with it, blah de blah de blah, zeroed it there, and that's at 50 metres. So the gun proved itself to me. I wouldn't say it's utterly perfect, but I'll tell you why. Right, start out, yes, it's a CZ452 American. So walnut stock, it's a fairly slim rifle, quite short in length of pull, but it came with a sound moderator, standard weight barrel, it's blued, it's got a few marks of life on it, a few little bits of scuff marks on the stock, a few little points on the barrel where you can see the luster's just gone a little bit, but that's me looking at it. I haven't even gone over it with an oily cloth. The crown, to start out with, is perfect. Now, underneath the moderator, sometimes they can hide a few sins, shall we say. Now, rimfires aren't quite as bad because you don't tend to get huge amounts of condensation in them. Generally, you just get a bit of lead fouling, but the thread's good, the crown's good, and of course, the sight moderator that came with it, I know these to be very effective. Now, mounting the scope was no problem at all. I'm just going to pop this off now because I've actually done this kind of review backwards, in the fact I've been out, shot the gun, done nothing with it at all apart from shoot it and put the scope on it, because I want to take all the weights and measurements off it as well. So it's a 16-inch barrel, which off the top of my head is 410mm, something like that. It's got an 11mm dovetail, so no problem putting a scope on there at all. And you've got the simple CZ rear locking action with a safety catch which locks the firing pin completely and the bolt. Now, it kind of works a little bit backwards compared to most safety catches, but I think anybody who's used a CZ452 or a 455 or an old Bruno will know them infinitely well, because it's rear to fire, forward to safe. But that bolt locking capability is kind of old school, yet extremely safe, and it totally blocks the firing pin, not just the trigger. And you know, you can modify these triggers and tweak them a little bit if you want, but generally speaking, you get quite a reliable, effective pull on them. Now, this has got, as you would expect, CZ 4.52 magazine, 2.2 rimfire. These 4.52s are available in 17 HMR as well, and 2.2 WMR. You do see a few in 17 Mach 2 as well, but those are few and far between, as is the ammo. That's actually got a polymer 5-round magazine, which would indicate to me it's either been replaced or it's not one of the older 4.52s. I'll go on to that in a minute. Steel bottom metal, steel trigger blade, everything's kind of old school steel and works perfectly. Bolt release, you pull the trigger, the bolt comes out the back, and you can see on the bolt face here, there's no corrosion. Twin extractor claws, and you've got a manual ejector, which is a pin in the back of the action which slides along that groove there, and when the bolt goes over it, that's what flicks the brass out of the receiver. And it was notable that the bolt is very smooth, there's no issues with it, the trigger was very smooth, and please don't lecture me on dry firing rimfires, because I've done it hundreds of thousands of times probably, well, let's say tens of thousands of times. Never have I ever broken a rimfire for that. I have seen people who've broken rimfires for other ways and doing things like decocking things and making odd movements with the bolt handle and blah blah blah, but I've never had that issue. So there we go. But yeah, the bolt is notably smooth. So you do of course need to be a little bit aware it's kind of a slightly older design, designed for iron sights originally in terms of the ergonomics, but the scope on top of that fits perfectly. 50mm scope, nice average sort of size, works great. So functionally, no problems at all with the rifle. Now, if we look at some of the dimensions, let's do some of the dimensions before I take it out of here. So, as we said, it's a 16-inch barrel, which is 410mm. Overall length of the rifle is 35 inches, which is 885mm. That makes it very light, handy, portable, easy to shoot. Now, length of pull on these isn't usually super long, but for a rimfire it's not too bad. 13 and a half there, which is 340mm, so it's okay. And the thing is, with a small rimfire rifle, you want that handy portability for the quick shots, either from the right or the left shoulder. And of course, yes, this is a right-hand action, but it's totally ambidextrous, so you can shoot it from either shoulder. And of course, that bolt manipulation is just so smooth and light and fast and easy and quiet. I've kind of forgotten where I was now. Do you know I have? I don't normally do that, do I? I don't normally just forget what I'm talking about. Let's tell you a bit about the stock. There's a very, 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 very slight palm swell on there, checkering on either side. It's grippy, same on the forend. Now the barrel doesn't really free float. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a free floating barrel, but CZ do make rifles slightly of the old school, and when I say old school, not in a bad way, in a good way. They kind of still have the art of the gun maker, and they've demonstrated that with the newest 4.57s as well. I don't mind that that's not a fully free floating barrel, because to be honest, it's not pretending to be a free floating barrel that's going to give you intermittent issues. I will say this, when I was shooting it, it's got, you know, stud at the front here, and I shot it off a bipod, and I did note slightly you have to be just a teeny bit more delicate with it and just make sure you're not being brutal with the lateral pressures on the barrel or anything like that, or pushing into it. But in terms of a point and shoot rifle, you know, with no other mechanical strain going into it, it's spot on, and it's held zero, no problem, over the sort of 10-14 days I've been using it, repeat testing it for, checking zero, things like that. That's not actually the first set of groups I shot with it. That was the second set, when I'd actually demounted the scope and then remounted the scope, and just wanted to take it out and check it again, because it's just quite an enjoyable gun to shoot. Now of course on a 2.2 rimfire, you've not really got any recoil at all. Length of pull is, as we say, it's actually a plastic butt plate on it, it's not a rubber recoil pad. There's no issue with actual physical force on that. The only thing I would possibly say with a plastic butt plate rather than a rubber pad is it's not quite as grippy in your shoulder. But on a fast acting rifle like this that you may well shoot with nothing more than a modern scope on it, does that matter? Probably not. Because the simple fact is, it does shoot extremely well at 50 metres, and that's not even with match ammunition, that's just hollow point subsonic hunting ammo. Speed was about, it was about 1,020 feet per second out of it, which is absolutely acceptable. It means you're never going to get any problem with crackers, and with a sound moderator on, it's super quiet to shoot, as you'll see in the video. Let's just have a little look at the overall weight of this rifle, and then we'll do the trigger pull as well. Just switch on the magic scales. I'm just going to put that Let's go grams first, just because I prefer grams. That's 2,422 grams, which is £6 5.5 ounces. Again, it's a light rifle. Now, looking at the patina, as you might call it, yeah, there's a few little scuffs, a few little bits of marking on here. But if I strip that down and take it apart, which I'm not going to do on camera because YouTube don't like that, I could clean up that barrel action completely. Probably a good oily rag will just really put some sheen back on that. And the moderator itself, I mean, that's an anodised aluminium moderator. Yes, it's got a little bit dull over time, but that could have been from abrasion or just general usage through life. And it shows the rifle has been used, which in a way is a good thing, because it means it wasn't just a safe queen that was kind of bought and discarded and not even really loved. It was obviously an effective tool that somebody wanted to keep using. As I said, we've got sling studs at the front and at the rear. You can put the sling on it, no problem at all. That's going to be a nice rifle to carry. And the simple fact is, if I just put these back here, the simple fact is, with the scope on this, you have got a rifle that is effective from zero distance, as in no distance whatsoever, not the distance is actually zeroed out to probably beyond 100 metres. I think years ago I shot a rabbit at about 130, 140 metres, something like that. And I've shot targets with a similar rifle to this out beyond 300 metres with quite some effect. And frankly, it's not really the rifle that holds you back, it's the optic you're using and how easy it is to use that optic. If I just show you here now, that is actually my 4.52 rifle, which I suspect, in fact, if I look at the serial numbers, I'm not sure the serial numbers mean a huge amount to me. Have a little looky there. Yeah, they don't really mean a huge amount to me. But this one is actually one I bought about 15 years ago. This was a 20-inch barrel American, same as that when I got it. If I remember correctly, I had it shortened to 16 inches and re-screw cut, re-crowned, and put it in this Boyd stock, which is a laminate stock. Would I say I prefer this rifle? I don't know if I do, and I don't know if I don't. It's a little bit bulkier, to be honest, because of the stock. Yes, that has been re-crowned and re-screw cut at some point, so that was what I did with it. And you can tell if the SAC moderator's side by side, this one's a little bit shinier. It could be a lot newer. I've got a few of them for different rifles and things, this, that and the other. But you can see here we've got a fully free-floating stock, which I will admit just allows you to be a little bit more careless with the handling of the rifle. But this one always gets shot off a bipod. It's got a night vision scope on it, but you can generally see we've got an identical action. If anything, the bolt is probably a little bit slicker, but no smoother. It's probably a little bit freer because it's been used a lot as this rifle. And the one differentiating factor is you can see there's a little bit more wear on the trigger guard, but not a huge amount. And this one has got a steel magazine, but functionally no different whatsoever. If anything, the polymer ones are probably a teeny bit quieter. And you can of course get the long 10-round polymer magazines for them as well. So that just goes to show the difference between a rifle that started out the same and ended up different. Now 4.52s were always available in slightly different layouts, slightly different stock designs. You could have the heavy varmint barrel, etc. You could have the different stocks, the hog's back, thumb holes, all sorts of things. But this to me is the absolute classic 2.2 rimfire rifle. And quite frankly, if you want to get into FAC rifles, a 2.2 rimfire is where you will start. And without being too doom and gloom over it, it's probably where you'll finish. Because I've been shooting rifles, as you may have seen, for quite some time. I've shot a lot of them. And the one I still really enjoy shooting, well, this target's folded over here because there's all sorts of groups and things been shot on it, because I took it out yesterday with some other rifles I was doing some work with. But this is the one I took with me, so I'll just take that. I'm going to give it another quick shoot again, just check it out, because it's just fun to shoot and I just enjoy it like I enjoy my own 2.2 rimfire. Now, as I said, this was 195 quid, and I think that's just a superb buy. I'm not going to name drop them, but I will name drop them, Swillington Shooting Supplies, because it's my local gun shop and it's where I picked it up from. But I think it's just a great rifle, and if you are interested, that's the kind of rifle I would look at. Don't be scared of a second-hand CZ 2.2 rimfire, because you've got a lead bullet. Yes, it might get a bit dirty inside, and provided there's no corrosion in it, you're not going to have really any issues with the barrel being burnt out or anything like a centerfire. Keep your eye on the crown, make sure it's not pitted or corroded, and take the bolt out, and at worst, clean it through, look down the barrel and just make sure there's nothing that looks shocking in there. Of course, you might not have a bore scope, the shot might or might not have a bore scope, but you know, you can ask to have a look at it and they might show you it. But generally speaking, on a 2.2 rimfire, the bores do stay in great condition because it's a soft lead bullet. It's not, you know, a hard copper bullet, and it's doing less than half the speed of most centerfire rounds. You know, you're just a little 2.2 rimfire here. So that's my little video today. I can't really say I know the exact point to this video, other than the fact that you've seen how many rifles I've used. You can probably imagine many, many more in the magazine world as well. This rifle just reminded me of the joy of shooting rimfire, the simplicity, the economy of it. You know, these are sort of 7 or 8p a shot, I think, something like that. They don't let you down. There's no O-rings to break. You know, effectively, when you shoot a rimfire, you get a brand new gas seal with every single shot, because that rim on there, when it locks in on the headspace and locks in on the chamber, well, that's effectively your O-ring every shot, isn't it? So it's a brand new one every time. And you've got rapid fire, you can put another 50 rounds in your pocket, you don't have to carry air bottles, anything like that. And it's just fun to shoot. Put the moderator on, the noise is virtually zero. You can go down to something like RWS subsonic ammunition, which is even slower. It's about 900 feet per second. It is notably quiet. It is one of the times where you will notably see quite a lot more drop off on your bullets as well, especially if you're going out to sort of 75 or 100 meters. But it's stunningly quiet. Not that the Cellar and Bellow or any other sort of 1,000 feet per second, 1,020 feet per second rimfire subsonic is noisy. So, I don't know, there you go. That's just a little bit of me today. Just, you can see me smiling because I just like it, and I like the fact that a good friend of mine, I've helped him out, I've sorted this, and he's really looking forward to using it. So, there we go. Right, the last little bit to this is when I was going through my cabinets. Got that, I've got this. Well, I've actually got a 4.55 and a 4.57. So I thought, if I get enough comments on this video and enough people who ask for it, I will get all three rifles side by side, strip them out the stocks, and show you the evolution of the CZ rifle, the CZ rimfire, over the sort of last 20-30 years. Because with them out of the stocks, everybody goes, which is the most accurate, this, that and the other. Well, heavy barrels have got a slight advantage, match chambers have got maybe a slight advantage, but they've got some disadvantages too. When I take them out of the stocks, you'll see the difference and the evolution in the action, because fundamentally a 4.52 and a 4.55 have got a lot of similarity in the action. The 4.55 and the 4.57 have got a lot of similarity in the action in the barrel, and the 455 and the 457 have basically got commonality in the barrel, but the 457 is a totally different action. I forgot part of it. Right, quickly, the barrel diameter on this rifle is 16.3 millimeters. And most critically, I forgot to tell you what the trigger pull was. So let me just set this going. And now this is as I picked it up. And that is 1,491 grams, which is £3, 4.6 ounces. I won't say it's a super light trigger. I won't say it's got zero creep on it, but I would say it is a nice trigger because you can get hold of it, you can put your finger on it, and you can actually give it that patient squeeze until it just breaks, and you get a natural. And I hate this thing about follow through, like it's something everybody's got to plan for. It should come naturally. And the point is, when that breaks, because you're squeezing it, and you can see how my finger just automatically, naturally, just goes with the trigger blade. So yes, you can modify these triggers. It's a little bit more of an involved process. It uses shims and things like that. People like Rimfire Magic, I think, used to make them, and that one down there has had it done by me probably 10, 12 years ago. The 457s have got the big advantage on that because they are adjustable in a much more modern fashion. But the thing is, if you can learn to shoot that trigger, let's say, what did I say it was, like £3, you're just not going to have an issue. You've got massive space in the trigger guard. Come summer, winter, you know, thick gloves, whatever, you're going to be able to accurately, consistently, safely address that trigger blade without fear of some absolute harebrained trigger that just goes bang as soon as your glove gets anywhere near it. And I think that is ace. So there we go. So anyway, there we go. If you've liked that video, do comment on it. Tell me you want to see this full breakdown review of the 452, 455, 457. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and keep track of my regular uploads. Because if you ask for that video, I'll make it sometime in the next week or 10 days. Right, thank you for watching. Bye for now.